we're going to look at how we can use Bluebeam to create a punch list. Now, before we do so, there's a couple of things I want to talk about in terms of the user interface. One being that Bluebeam focuses a lot on the ability to standardize and customize. So we can customize all of our tools. We can make them look the way we want them to look. We can also standardize the way our tools look. We can standardize our user interface, and we can also standardize our tool sets. Throughout the standardization process, we'll have the ability to pass information along to our team so that everybody can work the same way. Now, for this exercise, we're going to look at how we would use a specific profile and then look at different tool sets that may go along with that profile. So to change my profile, I'm going to come up here to the upper left-hand corner. I'm going to go over to Profiles and go to this newly created Site Punch profile. Notice when I switch to it, I'll automatically get my my tool set to the left there, and then the properties to the right will already be ready to go, depending on what I want to change. The tool sets that I'm going to use for this exercise will be this carpentry issues and electrical issues. Now again, I could share this information with my team so that everyone has these tools already created for them. Now each one of these I'm going to call a punch key. It'll have a very symbolic indicator, and then it'll have information associated with it. And we'll even look at how we can add an image to that markup and how it translates later on in the markups list. Something else I want to bring your attention to is the use of spaces. I can get to the spaces by going over to the right-hand corner, selecting spaces from the panel, and I can highlight them simply by clicking the highlight spaces. Now, this drawing was produced from Revit using the Bluebeam add-in. There's an option in there that we can convert or export rooms to spaces. And what will happen is everywhere a Revit room was, a space got created. What's great about a space is any markup that we place will be categorized as part of that space. And when we look at the markups list, we'll see how that information translates through. It can be used for categorization. Now, let's imagine I'm walking through the site and I am in this, let's see, say we're just in this corridor. We're in corridor 131. And I recognize that this door latch, is not functioning properly. Well, I had already created in the carpentry issues a door latch keynote or a punch key that we can use. So I can simply just place this down. And very easily, if I look at the properties, I can see that I'm going to be able to communicate that this door latch does not work. Please repair. As I continue to walk through, perhaps I recognize there's another issue. Maybe in this electrical room, I feel the need to place a missing faceplate. Maybe there's a missing faceplate somewhere in that electrical room, or even better, maybe in this instruction room. If I place that down, but I want to be able to let the user know that what does it look like? Perhaps I'm in the field and I have an iPad and I can place that markup, but I need to take a picture so they can let them know what I'm referring to. Well, I'm going to do this from my computer. If I was in the iPad, I could just take the picture, but I can go to Capture by right-clicking on that markup, go to Capture, and choose from File. Now what I'll be able to do is from File, I'll navigate to wherever that image was. So here's that missing faceplate. So I can just select that image and hit Open. And notice now I'll have a little icon here of an image, and if I click on it, it'll bring it up so that I know what that was. As I continue to go and do my punch walk, perhaps in this cafeteria, I recognize that there is a sink and there's a leaky faucet that I need to bring the attention to. Now notice I don't actually have a leaky faucet punch key yet, but I could easily use any of the ones that we have created and make one. So perhaps I'll use this WR that was for the wall finish not smooth, and I'll go ahead and place it down. And then I'm just going to click inside that and change it to, we'll say LF for leaky faucet. Now don't forget, we need to make sure we are always updating our subjects so that that information categorizes itself properly in the markups list. So maybe I'll just refer to this as plumbing. And for my note or my description, I'll just say leaky faucet, please repair. Again, I want to place an image to this. So I'm going to right click on it, go to capture, and choose from file. Now notice if I was on an iPad, I just use from camera. But I can do from file. There's my leaky faucet. Let's hit open. All right. As I go through and we're working, we realize that, perhaps there's additional things that I need to bring the attention to. Here's a wall smith or the wall not smooth. Or in this case, perhaps the millwork is uneven or the cracked wall. So I have a cracked wall in this lounge. I need to bring that to everyone's attention. There again, I'm just going to add that the sheetrock is cracked. All right. So I've gone through and I started marking all my things up. Let's see what that's doing in the markups list. If I open up my markups list down here, notice I can add spaces, which I already have to my markups list, and I can sort by space. So I can see all the different markups that occurred. Here's all my admins. Here's all my conference, all the way through. I have all the information that follows. Here's the subject, perhaps the comments that we were referring to. I can choose my date or my author. I can use this status bar here if I want to be able to maintain status of if it was repaired or not. I could simply double click on this status and choose a various option from the drop down, and these are all customizable. But perhaps I say that this was accepted, or I could say that it was completed, but it'll keep a log of all the various timestamps that something was attached. Now notice here I actually have layer as an option. We can create layers in Bluebeam by going to the layers panel, and we can actually create different layers and then place markups on them so that we could look at only one layer at a time. To place a layer on a markup, I could right click on it, go to layer, and then choose the markup that I want it to be on. Or I can select it in the markups list and right click layer. But it's just another way to organize this punch list. I'm going to organize by space, and then let's look at some options for how we can export this out. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to export this markups list as a PDF summary. We're going to append it to the back of the document so that it can be hyperlinked. We're going to leave all the other settings alone, and we're just going to hit OK. Now it's going to go through and process all of these markups. But what we're going to notice is wherever there was an image, it's going to append that to the markups as well. And so that we're going to have a nice little report that we can use for our punch list report. Now, when this is done, we're also going to look at an example of how we'll be able to run a capture summary and only pull the markups that had an image attached to that. So we could assign an image to all of our little punch keys. As we walk through and start to place them, we'll be able to get all of that information categorized, and in that summary document, we'll be able to see it. So it looks like we're almost done here. So what we're going to do, as soon as this is open, we're going to look at what our report looks like. Now, here we go. As we see in our report, as we typically would do, we're going to get a hyperlink snapshot of wherever that occurs. I'm sorting by space, so notice at the top we'll see all our different spaces. We'll see our comments that go with it. So if there's a comments associated, we'll see that. And if there's a picture associated, we'll see that as well. So that's one way of creating a punch list summary. Now let's look at another option. Another option is the capture summary. Now to create a capture summary, what we're going to do is we're going to go over to the markups list, we're going to go to capture, and we're going to go to capture summary. We're going to attach the media as a linked file, so I'll want to do that. I'm going to leave everything else the same. I could give it a name if I want, and I'm going to hit OK. Now, what we have is a document that only includes the markups that had an image, but all of the other contents that go with that. So you can see that Bluebeam is an effective tool for doing a punch list. Some of the key takeaways is the fact that one, make sure to have your spaces so that you can easily categorize where that markup is located. Two, make sure to create tools, in this case, my punch keys, so that you can identify the common things and go through and place them. Now, at any point, if I place one of those, so for instance, here I have a wall finish not smooth, I can actually come in here and add more information to this. So perhaps I just need to be able to say that this is occurring only once. Now, with that, I could have this occur or place somewhere else, but I'm only impacting the one markup that I edited. So I can create tool sets that match the 85% of what I would do. And then for those few things that I need to add additional information to, I had the ability to do that. So spaces, having good tool sets, customizing our view to look the way that we want, and then really looking at how we can organize our markups list so that we can see exactly the information that we need. We can export it either as a PDF summary, where it'll include those images, or we can export it as a capture summary, where we'll only get the images that were part of the markup. Thanks.